Your life is not truly yours. You wake up to the same alarm, sit in the same traffic, work the same job, and pay the same bills. Again and again, year after year. You've done everything right. You built a career, you provided for your family, you secured your future. Yet deep inside, something feels missing. You have enough, but it's not enough. You're not suffering, but you're not truly living either. You feel stuck, not in a prison with bars, but in an invisible cage made of expectations, obligations, and routines that never seem to end. A life that feels safe, yet strangely suffocating. This is not freedom, this is survival. And survival is not the same as living. So ask yourself, are you truly free or just comfortable in your routine? The world is moving fast, but you don't have to stay still. Change is possible. A life of meaning, clarity, and true freedom is within reach, but only if you decide to take it. This is Victory Stoic, where we break free from limitations and take back control of our lives. If this message resonates with you, like, share, and subscribe, and comment below, I choose growth. Number 1, the world is stealing your life. Michael had everything he was supposed to want. At 42, he was financially stable, had multiple income streams, owned a home in a good neighborhood, and drove a luxury car. He wasn't struggling, far from it. Yet every morning, as he sat in traffic or checked his endless emails, he felt something gnawing at him. It wasn't stress over money. It wasn't the fear of losing everything. It was the unsettling realization that, despite doing everything right, his life didn't feel like his own. Like many, Michael had played the game well. He wasn't just working a 9-to-5, he had investments, side ventures, and a retirement plan. He understood wealth building and wasn't financially naive. But despite his financial intelligence, he was still caught in a different kind of trap. One not of poverty, but of expectation. His time wasn't his own. His days revolved around obligations, responsibilities, and the unspoken pressure to keep growing, keep accumulating, keep proving his worth. Society sells a definition of success wrapped in stability, accumulation, and achievement. Get the right degree, land a solid career, scale your investments, secure your family's future, and retire comfortably. On paper, it makes sense. And yet millions of people, intelligent, capable, financially literate people, find themselves in Michael's position. They aren't drowning in debt, but they are drowning in a cycle that never ends. They are not in financial crisis, but they are in a crisis of purpose. Michael once believed that with enough money, he could eventually buy his freedom. But he started noticing something. Every financial milestone came with new expectations. A bigger house meant higher expenses. A better job meant longer hours. More investments meant more management. He wasn't working for survival, he was working for maintenance. The system thrives on this. It keeps people moving, convincing them that the next promotion, the next deal, the next level of success will finally bring peace. But peace never comes when your life is dictated by an external script. One night, lying awake at 2 a.m., he wasn't worried about money or his career. He was asking himself something deeper. When was the last time I felt truly alive? He had built wealth, but he hadn't built freedom. He had achieved success, but he hadn't defined what success meant to him. The first step to reclaiming your life isn't just about making more money or optimizing your finances. It's about recognizing that you've been conditioned to chase things that might not even align with what you truly want. The world doesn't steal your life with hardship. It steals it with distraction, with expectations, with an invisible pressure to keep moving forward without ever questioning the direction. So ask yourself, are you building the life you truly want, or just maintaining the one you were told to have? Number 2, social media, a digital prison. You think you're free, but you're not. Your mind is not your own. Your attention is not your own. Every time you reach for your phone, every time you scroll mindlessly through a feed, every time you check for notifications, you are surrendering control, piece by piece. You don't even realize it's happening. No chains, no walls, just an endless stream of content, keeping you occupied, keeping you numb, keeping you in place. You tell yourself it's just a distraction, just a way to unwind, just a way to stay informed. But deep down, you know the truth. It's an addiction, a subtle engineered dependency. You open your phone without thinking. You check for updates without needing to. You crave the hit of dopamine that comes with every like, every comment, every tiny signal that tells you you exist. But at what cost? Social media was supposed to connect us, to give us a voice, to make us more informed. Instead, it has made us more anxious, more reactive, more hollow. You consume the lives of others while ignoring your own. You absorb opinions without forming your own. You scroll through success stories feeling like you're falling behind. You watch other people living, achieving, moving forward, while you sit there passively, consuming their highlight reels as your own life slips away in the background. And the worst part, you know it's happening, but you can't stop. The platforms are designed for this. They are not free. You are not the customer. You are the product. Every second you spend scrolling is a second sold to advertisers. Every moment you waste is another fraction of your potential traded for entertainment, for outrage, for distraction. And the longer you stay inside this digital prison, the harder it becomes to escape. When was the last time you sat in silence with your own thoughts? When was the last time you made a decision without being influenced by an algorithm? When was the last time you truly listened to yourself, to your instincts, to the quiet voice inside you that's been drowned out by the noise? This is not just a habit. This is a war for your mind. You can reclaim your time. You can take back your focus. But first, you have to wake up. You have to stop being a prisoner of your own device. You have to ask yourself, are you in control or are you being controlled? Number 3, fear of failure is controlling you. You have dreams, but you are afraid. Not because you lack ambition, not because you lack talent, but because the life you've built, the job, the income, the stability, has become a cage you don't dare to break out of. You tell yourself it's too risky, that it's too late, that you have too much to lose. But the truth is, you are not protecting your success. You are protecting your comfort, and comfort is the enemy of growth. You weren't always like this. There was a time when you wanted more, when you imagined a different life, when you were willing to take risks. But somewhere along the way, you became cautious. You worked hard to build a stable life, and now that you have it, the thought of losing it terrifies you. You've seen others fail. You've seen businesses collapse, dreams shatter, and people lose everything. And you tell yourself, that won't be me. So you stay put, you settle. You convince yourself that what you have is enough. But in the quiet moments, late at night, in between meetings and the pauses between distractions, you feel it, the dissatisfaction, the voice inside that whispers, what if? What if you took that risk? What if you pursued what truly mattered to you? What if you stopped waiting for the right time and just did it? Because here's the brutal truth. Stability is an illusion. The job you think is secure can disappear overnight. The money you save can vanish in an instant. The life you are clinging to so tightly is not as safe as you think. And if that's true, then what are you really afraid of? Losing what you have or realizing that you've been holding yourself back for years? Most people fear failure because they think it will break them. But what if failure is just a step? What if failure is the price of admission for a life worth living? What if the real tragedy isn't falling short, but never trying at all? You can let fear control you. You can let comfort sedate you, or you can make a choice to stop living in hesitation, a choice to take the risk, not recklessly, but with intent, a choice to bet on yourself, because the alternative is a slow, quiet regret that will haunt you for the rest of your life. So ask yourself, are you protecting stability or are you avoiding growth? Number 4, listening to yourself. The path is already within you. The answers you seek are not out there. They are not in another book, another podcast, another piece of advice from someone who doesn't live your life. They are inside you, buried under layers of noise, distractions, and expectations. But you've stopped listening. From the moment you were born, the world started telling you who you should be. Your parents, your teachers, your culture, your social circle, each one adding their voice to the chorus. Be responsible. Be successful. Follow the right path. Make smart choices. Don't take too many risks. And so, little by little, your own voice was drowned out. Now, when you try to think about what you truly want, it feels unclear. The noise is too loud. The expectations are too heavy. You find yourself looking outward, searching for direction in other people's opinions, hoping someone will give you the answer. But no one can. No one else has lived your life. No one else carries your dreams, your fears, your regrets. The only person who can tell you what your path is, the only person who has ever been able to, is you. But to hear yourself again, you have to stop running from silence. When was the last time you sat alone, with no distractions, no phone, no background noise, just you and your thoughts? When was the last time you asked yourself, truly and honestly, what do I want? Not what will make others proud, not what will impress society, not what is safe, but what calls to you deep down in a way that nothing else does. This isn't about instant clarity. It's about practice, about creating space to listen, about noticing the things that light a fire inside you, the topics you keep coming back to, the work that doesn't feel like work, the moments when time disappears because you are fully engaged. These are not coincidences. They are signposts. They are trying to tell you something, but you must be willing to listen. The world won't give you permission to slow down. It won't encourage you to reflect. It wants you busy, distracted, reactive. Because the moment you truly listen to yourself, you become dangerous. You stop blindly following, you start questioning, and worst of all, you stop living according to their plan and start building your own. So make space, find silence, trust that the answers are already within you. Because they are. They always have been. The question is, are you ready to listen? Number 5, the process of experimentation and elimination. Listening to yourself is only the first step. Understanding what calls to you is important, but it's not enough. Clarity doesn't come from thinking, it comes from doing. You can spend years contemplating your purpose, but until you step into the real world and test it, you will never know what truly fits. This is where most people get stuck. They want certainty before they take action. They want guarantees that their next step will be the right one. But that's not how it works. Finding your path is not about waiting for the perfect answer. It's about trying, failing, learning, and adjusting. It's about experimenting and eliminating. The power of testing your assumptions. Take David, for example. He spent 15 years as a corporate lawyer, making good money but feeling empty inside. He had always been drawn to writing and storytelling, but the idea of leaving law to become a writer seemed absurd, so he didn't quit his job. He didn't make a grand declaration. Instead, he ran an experiment. For 6 months, he wrote for 30 minutes every morning before work. He started publishing small articles online just to see if he enjoyed the process. He tested different topics: business writing, personal development, even fiction. Some things felt natural, others didn't. Slowly, he realized that storytelling, particularly personal growth and business lessons, was what energized him the most. At the same time, he started eliminating. He noticed that legal work no longer interested him. It felt like an obligation, not a passion. He experimented with reducing his hours at the firm while taking on freelance writing assignments. The more he wrote, the more he confirmed that this was something he wanted to pursue seriously. And eventually, after 2 years of calculated experiments, he made the transition. Not in blind faith, but with proof from his own experience. The illusion of the perfect path. Most people never start because they think they need the perfect idea before they act. But you don't need to know your final destination to start moving. Think of it like hiking in the mountains. If the path is foggy, you don't sit and wait for the entire trail to clear. You take a few steps forward, see where they lead, and adjust accordingly. By testing small changes, you learn what excites you and what drains you. You identify what you're naturally drawn to and what feels like a burden. This process removes the pressure of having to know everything up front. It replaces anxiety with momentum. The key is to treat this like an investigation, not a commitment. You are not married to any single idea. You are simply exploring. If something works, lean into it. If something doesn't, cross it off the list, and move on. The more experiments you run, the clearer your path becomes, not because you planned it perfectly, but because you discovered it through action. So ask yourself, what small experiment can you start today? What can you test right now with no risk, just to see how it feels? Because clarity doesn't come from waiting, it comes from doing. Number 6, finding the pain you can endure. Everyone wants a meaningful life. Everyone wants purpose, success, and fulfillment. But most people avoid the hard truth. Every path comes with struggle. There is no dream, no career, life choice that doesn't involve pain. The real question is not what do I love, but what struggle am I willing to endure? Pain is the compass. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." In other words, the struggles you are willing to face determine where your true path lies. Instead of asking what makes you happy, ask what discomfort feels meaningful to you. Take Jake, for example. He always dreamed of being a musician. He loved the idea of performing on stage, recording songs, and inspiring people with his music. But the reality of being a musician wasn't just about the excitement of playing. It was about practicing for hours alone, dealing with criticism, struggling to make money, and facing constant rejection. After a few years, Jake realized something. He loved music, but he hated the process. He didn't want to endure the grind of touring, the instability, or the financial uncertainty. And because he wasn't willing to suffer for it, he let it go. Meanwhile, his friend Alex also loved music. But unlike Jake, Alex didn't mind playing for small crowds. He didn't mind long nights rehearsing, sending emails to venues, or getting rejected over and over. The pain of the journey didn't push him away. It fueled him. And after years of struggle, he finally started making a name for himself. The difference? Alex chose a pain he was willing to bear. What this means for you. The mistake most people make is thinking that passion should be easy, but every dream has a cost. If you want to be a writer, are you willing to face rejection, write for hours alone, and push through creative blocks? If you want to start a business, can you handle uncertainty, financial risk, and the stress of being responsible for everything? If you want to be an athlete, can you endure the exhaustion, the injuries, and the relentless training? Your real path isn't just what excites you, it's what challenges you in a way that makes you want to keep going. People don't quit because they lack talent or motivation. They quit because they choose a pain they are not willing to suffer for. Find your struggle. Most people spend their lives avoiding discomfort, thinking that happiness is about ease. But real fulfillment comes from choosing the right struggle. The Stoics understood this well. They didn't seek a painless life. They sought a meaningful one. And meaning is always found on the other side of struggle. So ask yourself, what hardship are you willing to endure? What struggle fuels you instead of draining you? Because in the end, your life is not defined by what you want, but by what you are willing to suffer for. Number 7, experiment and eliminate. Find your path by removing the wrong ones. Most people believe that finding the right path in life is about discovering what you love. But what if the better approach is to start by eliminating what you don't love? If you don't know what excites you, start by figuring out what drains you. The fastest way to clarity is not waiting for a perfect answer. It's actively removing the wrong ones. The power of elimination. Think of it like sculpting. A sculptor doesn't start with a perfect image in mind. He starts with a rough block of stone and chips away everything that doesn't belong. Bit by bit, the shape becomes clearer. Your life works the same way. Instead of waiting for a grand revelation, start removing what isn't working. Take Emily, for example. She was 35, stuck in a high-paying but soul-crushing corporate job. She knew she wasn't happy, but she didn't know what she actually wanted. Instead of obsessing over the perfect career, she ran small experiments to figure out what she didn't want. She tried working at a startup. Too chaotic. She explored freelance consulting. Too isolating. She volunteered as a teacher, rewarding but not financially viable. Each step eliminated a wrong turn, bringing her closer to what fit. After 2 years of testing, she landed in a role that balanced leadership, creativity, and autonomy. She found her path not by searching for it, but by removing what wasn't it. Action over analysis. Most people get stuck in analysis paralysis. They think they need the perfect plan before they act. But the truth is, you will never think your way into clarity. You have to act. You have to step into the unknown, try things, and allow failure to refine your direction. Not sure if a career path is right for you? Don't quit everything. Test it part-time. Not sure if a passion is real? Do it for 6 months and see if the struggle excites you. Instead of obsessing over what might work, start eliminating what clearly doesn't. Every wrong turn removed is a step closer to the right one. Your life is not a single path. Most people think they must choose one perfect path and stick with it for life. That's false. Life is not a straight road. It's a series of adjustments. The people who find fulfillment are not the ones who picked right the first time. They are the ones who were willing to pivot, adjust, and refine their path along the way. So if you feel stuck, stop waiting for certainty. Start removing what drains you, test, eliminate, and adapt. Because clarity isn't found in thinking, it's found in doing. Number 8, ask the right questions. Clarity begins with perspective. Most people stay stuck in the wrong life because they're asking the wrong questions. They ask, what job pays the most? Instead of, what work energizes me? They ask, how can I avoid failure? Instead of, what is worth failing for? They focus on security, stability, and expectations, rather than exploring what truly matters to them. But the right path in life isn't found by following conventional wisdom. It's found by asking the right questions. Breaking the mental chains. Imagine this. If money were no object, what would you do with your time? If you never had to work for a paycheck again, how would you spend your days? Most people struggle to answer this question because their entire lives have been built around survival, responsibility, and obligation. The idea of choosing something purely for meaning feels foreign, but this question reveals something important. It forces you to separate what you want from what you've been told you should want. Now take it further. If you were guaranteed not to fail, what kind of life would you create for yourself? If you had nothing to prove, no one to impress, and no fear of judgment, what would you pursue? Most people don't take action because they're afraid. Afraid of looking foolish, afraid of disappointing others, afraid of stepping into the unknown. But fear should never be the reason you don't live the life you were meant for. The question that changed everything. John had spent 20 years in a comfortable but uninspiring corporate job. He had built a good life, nice house, good salary, stable future. But something always felt missing. One day a mentor asked him, if you had all the money you ever needed, what would you do? Without hesitation, John answered, I'd work with my hands. I'd build things. I'd design furniture. He had always loved craftsmanship, but it never seemed like a real career choice. That moment was a turning point. He didn't quit his job overnight. Instead, he started spending weekends working with wood, taking on small projects, selling a few pieces. Within 2 years, he built a side business that eventually replaced his corporate income. He didn't need unlimited wealth to do what he loved. He just needed the right perspective. Questions that shift your mindset. 1. If money weren't an issue, how would you spend your time? 2. If you had 10 years left to live, what would suddenly become important? 3. If failure didn't matter, what would you try? 4. What do you do effortlessly that others struggle with? 5. If no one could judge you, how would your life change? Most people never ask these questions because they are too busy surviving. But true change starts with challenging the assumptions that keep you stuck. The world won't give you permission to break free. You have to give it to yourself. So what's stopping you? Number 9, the traps to avoid. Chasing social expectations and comparison. The greatest prison is the one you willingly lock yourself in. And for most people, that prison is built from the expectations of others. You were told what success looks like. You were given a blueprint. Get a good job, make money, buy a house, settle down, retire comfortably. And like millions before you, you followed it. But what if this version of success was never yours to begin with? The illusion of success, think about it. If success were only about wealth, why are so many rich people miserable? If it were about status, why do celebrities, CEOs, and high achievers still feel empty? The truth is, Success has never been about external achievements. It has always been about living in alignment with what actually fulfills you. But instead of defining success for themselves, most people outsource their definition to society. Take Ryan, for example. At 38, he had everything: an executive title, a high salary, a home in an upscale neighborhood. By all accounts, he was winning, but every day he felt like an actor playing a role that wasn't his. He didn't even know if he wanted the things he had worked so hard for, or if he had simply been checking off society's list. The worst part? He couldn't stop. He was too deep in. The golden handcuffs of success kept him tied to a life that wasn't his. The comparison trap. Then there's Sarah. She was passionate about writing, but never pursued it seriously because she kept comparing herself to best-selling authors. Every time she opened social media, she saw others thriving, launching books, gaining massive followings, building careers she wished she had. And instead of writing, she hesitated. Instead of creating, she consumed. She let comparison paralyze her. Social media has turned life into a never-ending scoreboard. Someone is always richer, more successful, more attractive, more talented. But here's what no one tells you. You're not playing their game. Their path is not yours. Their success is irrelevant to your journey. And every second you spend measuring yourself against someone else is a second stolen from your own growth. The cost of living someone else's life. When you chase social expectations, you live for validation, not fulfillment. When you compare yourself to others, you let their achievements define your worth. And the worst part? You don't realize it's happening until years have passed, and you wake up wondering whose life you've been living. So ask yourself, are you chasing what truly fulfills you? Or are you just following what looks good from the outside? Because real success isn't wealth. It isn't status. It isn't what society approves of. Real success is waking up every day and knowing you're living life on your own terms. Number 10, common mistakes when chasing passion. The modern world romanticizes passion. We are told to follow our dreams, never give up, and push through no matter what. But the Stoics knew better. They understood that blind persistence is just as dangerous as giving up too soon. Passion alone is not enough. Wisdom and self-awareness must guide it. As Seneca once said, if a man does not know to which port he is sailing, no wind is favorable. In other words, if you don't have clarity, effort alone will not save you. People fail in two major ways when pursuing passion. A, blind perseverance, knowing when to walk away. Not every battle is worth fighting. Not every pursuit is meant to be yours. Society teaches us that quitting is failure, but quitting the wrong path is wisdom. Take Robert Greene, the best-selling author of The 48 Laws of Power. Early in his career, he wanted to be a journalist. He worked hard, pitched stories, and struggled to gain recognition. But one day an editor told him bluntly, "You're not a good journalist." Instead of reacting with anger or stubbornness, he listened. He realized that his true strength wasn't in reporting facts, but in analyzing power, strategy, and human nature. So he pivoted. Instead of doubling down on something that wasn't working, he redirected his energy toward writing books. And that changed his life. If you keep failing in a pursuit, ask yourself, is this struggle leading to growth, or is it a sign that I'm on the wrong path? If you feel no progress, no deep passion, no real development, perhaps it's time to change direction. B, giving up too soon, the lack of true commitment. On the other hand, many people abandon their passions too quickly. They expect instant success and quit at the first sign of difficulty. But true passion is not about excitement, it's about endurance. Greene himself faced rejection multiple times before publishing his first book. The difference? He knew writing was his true calling, so he persisted. As he said, if you know what you truly love, you will find the motivation to endure. Passion alone won't carry you through hard times, but passion combined with resilience will. The key is knowing the difference between a path that is difficult but worth it, and a path that is difficult because it's not meant for you. The first requires perseverance. The second requires the courage to walk away. The Stoic approach to passion is not about blind commitment, it is about strategic persistence. The Stoics taught that we must act with reason, not impulse. If something isn't working, analyze, adjust, and pivot. If something truly matters to you, embrace the struggle and push through. So ask yourself, are you being stubborn about the wrong things, or are you giving up too easily on what truly matters? Conclusion: your path is yours to create. Finding your true path in life isn't a sudden revelation. It's a journey of discovery, shaped by action, reflection, and the willingness to embrace both success and failure. Clarity doesn't come from waiting, it comes from testing, eliminating, and adjusting. You might need to explore different directions before finding what truly aligns with you. That's not failure, that's the process. What matters is not just chasing passion, but recognizing what struggle is worth enduring, what work feels meaningful, and what life truly belongs to you. Take calculated risks. You don't need to abandon everything overnight. Start small. Experiment. Build your own foundation step by step. Every action brings clarity. Time is your most valuable asset. Stop waiting for the right moment. The right moment is now. The longer you delay, the more life you give away to fear and uncertainty. Discipline leads to real freedom. True freedom isn't avoiding responsibility, it's taking full ownership of your life. The more control you have over yourself, the less control the world has over you. Choose your life. Don't just inherit one. At the end of the day, no one else can decide how you live. The system, society, expectations, none of it matters if you don't take control. Stop settling. Start designing a life that is truly yours. If this message speaks to you, like, share, and subscribe. And comment below, I take full control of my life.